Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you all are having a most blessed day. It's time for your daily Bible verse. And today we're going to read Proverbs chapter 1, verses 20 through 21. Wisdom calls aloud in the street. She raises her voice in the public squares. At the head of the noisy streets she cries out. In the gateways of the city she makes her speech. So, what's happening here in Proverbs, which we know that Solomon wrote out of the wisdom that he got from the Lord, that he prayed for, he talks a lot about wisdom here in the book of Proverbs, And the Lord was so thrilled that he asked for it, he was more than happy to give it to him. But what he's saying here, he's like, wisdom calls aloud in the streets, she raises her voice in the public squares, Wisdom is crying out aloud in our society, our demon-possessed culture, in these dark times. Wisdom's calling, she's screaming out, for somebody to answer her, to talk to her, to speak to her, figuratively speaking, of course, she's still calling out, but here's the thing. Nobody wants to answer, it seems like, Nobody answers. Everybody's happy being blind. Everybody's happy following false teachings, Nobody wants to know reality because, God forbid, it makes them a bit uncomfortable, And let me tell you something. That's why we have 500,000 different false teachings, If people would pray for wisdom, for discernment, that would crush maybe not all, but a lot of the false teachings that are out there. At the head of the noisy street, she cries out. In the gateways of the city, she makes her speech, She's making her speech, Discernment and everything of godliness. The question is, are you going to listen or are you going to turn your back? Are you just going to turn your back and walk the other way or ignore or make mockery, make fun, There's quite a bit of that in this society. And let me just say, it's interesting to me, but not surprising for the times we're in, but interesting how many Christians turn their backs and walk away. How many pastors turn their backs and walk away, Like I said, that's why we have so much deception, guys. We need to get discernment from the Lord so he can guide us in the right direction, especially in these dark times. You have a great and blessed day. Love you.